on back. I don't know what happened. It all disappeared. Right, I'm going to show you how to make binding. These pouches are really easy to make. I just seems to be making a real meal of it. So, binding. Okay, binding. I'm not using this binding, but I've already cut my fat quarter because the way this is going, it's just taking the time. Right, start with a fat quarter or a square. Fold it so that you have a crease down across. Now this isn't going to come across very well on here. You can't see nearly enough of the thing. So I've taken a fat quarter and I'm going to fold it so that I get so it goes along one side. So you end up with, yeah, I don't know what happened, Dan. It just went. So you end up with your 45-degree line if you fold your fat quarter into the square. Okay, trim along that line, just take off the edge, the sharp edge. Now I tend to fold it up. I've gone in the wrong way. Let's go that way, like that. Fold it up on the edge. I then, once you've got this 45-degree angle, I then fold it in half on that 45-degree angle. Okay, like that. Then I would take my ruler and I would trim up that tiniest bit up there. Trim up there and then cut your 2.5-inch strip from there. Okay, so you would then cut your 2.5-inch strip. So you're going up there, so you end up with two pieces or two separate pieces now of your fat quarter. Turn it, make sure it all lines up, and then cut it again at your 2.5. Okay, so you put your 2.5-inch line down your edge, and then you're going up. All right, so you end up with 2.5-inch on the bias, so you get that stretch. Now we're only doing it on the bias because we're going around a corner. Okay, so that's why. One strip on a fat quarter was not enough. So if you take your end, okay, take your end here and straighten it off. Line it up on the bottom, come to the edge of the thing, line it up. Take off your chamfered edge, and then you're going to go right sides together, lay one down and put the other one 90 degrees with it. Okay, now you can pin that in place, and then you're going to sew from top left to bottom right corner. Okay, so you're going to sew along this line. Nope. Do you know none of the pens work? Go find a pen. Find a pen. I need to go through all my pens. They don't half dry out quick, don't they? So there's my sewing line. So I'm going to sew on that line. Okay. So you sew on that line like that. So I've sewn down that line so that when you, and then trimmed it off at 1/4 of an inch ish, and then when you open it up it'll all run straight and you've still got that bit of stretch there as well. Okay, you're going to take it over to the ironing board. Take it over to the ironing board like that, and you're going to fold it in half long ways and just sew it, iron it in half, just like you would with you're binding a quilt if you're quilty people. Well, I think everybody else has gone home, so I have started ironing my bias binding bits open. They tend to sit flatter. I haven't there, but you know, for some things I've started ironing because they do sit slightly flatter. So we have ironed it in half. Okay, we're going to go to our back to our pouch, and we're going to start, and we're going to sew it on this side because you can't hand stitch to the vinyl. Okay, so give yourself a good tail and start about halfway down, 3/4 of the way down, 3/4 of the way down. Okay, now if you open it out to begin with and just sew a little bit, stop, take it off, and then close it up and carry on sewing, it makes it a bit different. No, hang on, fold down the end. We're doing this different. Fold down the end so that you have a finish. Start this halfway down, sew from here down, and then stop, close it up and carry on so that you've got an opening, and we'll come back to that then at the end. This is another one that I saw them using. I'd like it to be chamfered, but it's a pouch. I am not going to faff around with the that nice edged thing for a pouch. So we're going over to the machine. You do iron yours too, do you? That's good. It's something that I've just started doing. I always ironed it closed because I was taught with quilting that that's what you did, was you ironed all your seams. You know, you didn't iron them open. But there have been a couple of times now where I think you need to, don't you? So we're going to sew this down along here. I'm going to stop there and break it up. Cut it, not break it up, cut it. And then you fold this back down. Okay, fold it along its line, and we're going to carry on sewing from where you stopped there. Okay, and we're going to come off at the edge just like normal binding. It should be a 45-degree angle. However, I'm very wishy-washy at that. But I folded that away. You fold your binding away so that it lines up along here. Okay, it lines up going straight, and then you're going to fold it back towards you. Okay, fold it back towards you so you have your 45-degree angle is in there. Okay, and then you start sewing again from the end, just before the end. I'm going to pop that back in there and start sewing again. Should be able to get all the way around. So you just adjusting as you go, okay, making sure you catch underneath but without catching the other side. I've kept it on the 3 stitch. Going around curves, so readjust. You shouldn't get any problems with the vinyl now because it's got a fabric covering. I'm just doing a few stitches at a time, readjusting. Now don't pull. As you go around the corners, give it room, because if you pull, it's going to make your corners really tight, and then they don't sit. Just come off the edge there. Come off the edge there. So. Need to readjust. And make sure that I'm getting it onto the vinyl. There's no point in oh, come on. It's amazing how many times when you're really chuffed with something that you've made, that to make it more than once becomes almost impossible. Right, okay. So going round the corner again. And down straight. And again, I'm going to come off that corner. Flip it away, flip it back, and then I just do a few stitches on this side just to anchor that corner down so that I can mess around with it again. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of stitches there and cut it off. Right, so I now have my ends, okay. This one I want it to overlap by a bit, but I don't want to cut it as far as this stitch in here. I'm just going to cut it there. This bit here should be folded down, and I'm just going to trap that in there and fold this over like that. Okay. Now remember, this side is going to be wrapped over, so it will be hidden anyway. And then we're going to go back to the machine and finish that row. So go back over this make sure that it's sitting in there nicely. Keep going until you meet your other stitching. There we go. So with this, you're going to just flip it over. Okay, flip it over, and I hand stitched. You could go back and do it with the machine if you wanted to. You could put a decorative stitch on it and hold it down, but remember you're sewing onto the vinyl, so it doesn't bear well with too many stitches going through. So there you go, and I will hand stitch that down, and you have your pouch. Eventually, 2 weeks later, we have a pouch, and I still love this fabric. Managed to get a gecko right in the middle, or a whole gecko there. I would have fussy cut it a bit more if I'd have thought about it at the time, but it's quite a deep pouch, quite a good size pouch, and you can see it. Okay, there we go. We finally got there. Not as smooth as I'd like, but hey, that's me. Right. Oh, there we go. I think I love it. I'm really happy with it. I'm pleased with it. I like the fact that it'll stand up on its own. I would be more than happy to make some again, as long as I'm not having to talk while I'm doing it. I really think that I have male genes in there, because I cannot multitask. To save my life, I can't multitask. If the zombies came and they were going to kill me while I was sewing my machine, I'd have to stop, because I couldn't fight them and sew. Bit of a strange analogy, but you know what I mean. I can't do these things. Anyway, the pattern's on the website. The fabric that Sarah was using last night, hopefully this afternoon I will get time to put it on. I'm putting one called Willow's Farm on at the moment, because I started that one yesterday. But hopefully by the end of the afternoon, the 3 new ones, there's Willow's Farm, which is a kiddies one. There's the Snack Attack, that's going on, and also what's the other one? The new Brenda Riddle one, which is in like purples and sages. It's very delicate, very beautiful. 3 very different collections. So yeah, we can sort that out. I will see you next week, probably, maybe. Yes, I'll see you next week. Ta-ra!